I'm gonna shut down this so it doesn't overwhelm the sound here. I'm gonna be on Dr. Phil tomorrow, right? And I'm wondering if I were to get a DLSR camera or just a GoPro, would it look better here to stream? Because I got a lot of because all right, take it down. What are you doing next? Does this broadcast? I mean, right now, what we're looking at. Well, I see it. Yeah, I can see it. Talking right now. Yeah, I can hear it. Sounds beautiful. Yeah, I can hear it. Oh, I can hear it. Working fine.
Welcome to the broadcast. I am James Jackson, executive producer, Light Thief Productions. With me, if you would please introduce yourself and your pronouns.
My name is Darryl Lamont Jenkins, he, him. I'm the founder and executive director of One People's Project.
And we're coming to you live from Philadelphia, doing some election coverage, just catching up with all the news that may be or may not be fit to print. And I need to also join this little chat from my cell phone so that I can do some video management. Darryl, you have on your screen a couple of channels. What do you have set up over there?
Well, I'm broadcasting this. I'm on. You can go to onepeoplesproject.com, and you'll see this broadcast. You can also go to idavox.com, idavox.com, and you'll see the broadcast. Basically, I'm in here by myself, turning this entire office into a nerve center, so to speak. And I got the monitor. I'm monitoring the news right now to see what's going on CNN. I'm watching MSNBC right now, watching Fox News, and I'm watching BBC News just to see how the world is going to be watching this. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be real interesting to see whether or not we sink or swim.
All right, and then up on my screen, I will have. Well, I'm going to pin you to the second screen for now. There you go. All right, you're back. Maybe I should switch this around. Here. Pin on first screen. There we go. All right. So you're to the side that I'm looking at. You're looking off screen when you look that way, but that's all right.
I was looking at you.
Yeah. So
where you're going, because I'm looking at it on the screen.
We're both set up on the same way, so that's cool. Pin on first screen, and I'll pin me on second screen. There we go. That should work.
CNN is saying that in a minute the first polls will close. I don't know.
Right.
I think they were saying beforehand that there will be some areas in like Kentucky or something like that. So there's going to be some chatter in the background, so I can at least keep so I can just keep an eye out on all of the things that are happening right now. So I pardon any background noise that you're getting, especially from my phone.
And I'm gonna keep I have a police scanner handy, but I'm not gonna run that with audio right now. But that is available for us if anything happens. We also will have guest appearances from a few commentators. We have several people from all walks of life coming on, and we'll have some interviews from on the street and from our roving reporter Marcus Adams, and he is out there and hopefully he'll be joining us soon. Sorry, just catching up with this setup. Wanted to make sure we're streaming live everywhere. For some reason, the Facebook event page didn't pull the live stream. Don't know why that is. Hopefully folks tune in anyway. We're live on Periscope, Light Thief Productions on Periscope. We're live on Twitter through Periscope. We're live on YouTube, Light Thief Productions on YouTube. And we hope to see you wherever you are. And we're going to be bringing you election results as soon as we get them. The election results website that I'm looking at is actually the official election results website of the state of Pennsylvania, and that should be our most reliable information. So there's a counting dashboard on votespa.com, excuse me. And it won't be, the information won't actually be live until 8 p.m. So we'll bring you that information as soon as we get it.
Close up there.
Yeah. So wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things that have been happening throughout the day. I've been live tweeting a lot of stuff that has happened. And hey, there's Marcus. So today, several election challenges have come to the city. Hey Marcus, how's it going?
Hey James, how are you?
Ooh. Pin on second screen. What do you got?
Right now I'm in front of the land title building, which is 100 South Broad Street. It's 6:10. I think this is supposed to be one of the voting locations for people in Center City, but I'm not seeing like a line or anything like that up front.
Yep, that's definitely a polling place. And so, yeah, good to know that folks have been able to vote all day. It doesn't look like there's any line. And no electioneering going on or anything like that. If you hop off camera for a while and stay, at least 10 feet away from the entrance, and let people come out and ask them if they would like to be interviewed. We'll go to you if we get any live interviews. All right?
No problem. Thank you, James.
All right, thanks. All right. And
I would like to also say, just everybody, pardon me if I go back and forth with turning off my camera back on again. I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff. I might even have to go to another Zoom conference for a few and then come back. It's going to be a long night. It's going to be a long. I mean, we're going to be here trying to make sure that we're on top of everything that's going on right now. So just bear with us.
So there's been some excellent coverage from inside the elections court that was set up at the convention center, and I'm gonna try and scroll to that right now and find some of the coverage. There's been several challenges. The first challenge to the elections today was from the Trump campaign, issuing a challenge that the setup at the polling place was insufficient for them to see. They were too far from the counting to be able to see what was going on. Keep in mind that there's supposed to be a minimum of 6 feet from the counting so that they aren't able to read the ballots or any details during the counting or see anything of how people voted. They're only supposed to be able to see in so much as they're supposed to be able to see that nothing hinky is going on, that ballots aren't getting dropped on the floor or whatever.
Right, and that's not a concern. That's not really that's not a real concern. That's their concern, and I'm glad they was able to smack that down. Correct.
So what happened is they went to the judge. There's a courtroom set right there, and it is they were able to have an immediate hearing, and the motion was the motion was countered by Philadelphia Philadelphia elections officials, as well as the Democratic Party. Philadelphia elections officials basically said, well, they can see well enough. This was just set up for everyone's safety. It's just a sneeze guard, and it maintains this 6 feet of distance. And a recess was asked for, and after a 15-minute recess and consultation with each other, the lawyers all decided that everything was fine, and the motion was dropped without prejudice, which means that they could bring it up anytime again before the end of the night if they would like. So, where is this coverage? Also, interestingly, today, a federal judge in D.C. ordered the Postal Service to send special inspectors to several sorting locations to immediately search for and discover any ballots that had been not delivered, and to immediately deliver them to the Board of Elections. So that's a good thing, and several ballots were located that way. The morning started off with people lining up an hour to an hour and a half before the polls officially opened. And folks were lining up and ready to go, I guess. You're on mute, Daryl.
Yeah, I was basically saying that right now I'm trying to monitor as much as I can. I'm having a little problem with my television right now, but I also have to keep an eye out on Twitter and other social media outlets. I'm getting texts that say Roger Stone is encouraging followers to download the Who Is Near app to mobilize in the event of a recount or dispute. Now, I do know that the Proud Boys have some of the Proud Boys are in DC right now. So when they say mobilize, what do they mean by mobilize? Are they going to be the ones instigating what everybody thinks is happening? And at least we know that that is going to be the case. He also said, let me make sure of this one. It also says any mainstream media reporting of the results as a psyop committed by the Democrats in the deep state. You know what? And InfoWars is reporting on stacks of bricks found in cities nationwide. No, nice try. So this is the kind of thing that the bad guys are trying to do. They're trying to gin up tensions when there probably shouldn't even be tension.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we got Joey Gibson out in Portland saying that Portland Antifa are coming into Vancouver to intimidate Republican voters. I do not believe that that's going to be happening. I have been told, actually, there's been a stack of bricks outside the Anarchist Mutual Aid space, and I'm not sure what I work in all summer, so there's no one's touching the bricks. And this is from, I'm not sure what town. I think she's in Texas, this person that's putting this text out. But that's what we got so far. That's what we got so far. And then I'm taking a look at Twitter and seeing what people are saying too. By the way, it should be noted that it's Colin Kaepernick's birthday today.
Nice.
And I tweeted out that it is going to be so much sweeter if Trump loses on this day.
Hey, Charles. Wanted to welcome you to the broadcast. Introduce yourself for those who have never met you before and your pronouns.
Hi, I'm Charles. He, him, and they, them. Yeah, that's it.
Welcome. And so we have Marcus here in Center City. We have Daryl. He's reporting. And we have me in the studio. So yeah, Lauren Vitas was watching the election court today, and I'm gonna just pin a couple of us to this view. Speaker, great, and pin to first screen. Pin to first screen, great. And interestingly, she started the reports with the report that I was talking about. The first motion was to allow them to meaningfully observe the canvassing of the voter mailed ballots, and that was stopped because the Trump lawyers lost their motion. They determined that they didn't actually need that motion. Lost my Bluetooth for a second, so just sticking my other headphone in.
So what were the Trump lawyers trying to do? Just basically go in there and intimidate people?
So in the in the room where they're counting the mailed ballots, and they were concerned that they couldn't see what was going on, see in big air quotes, and they
Some lime for my beer, babe.
decided that they were too far away. So they made this motion that it was too far to meaningfully observe the canvassing, and then they
How far were they?
6 feet.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I wanna welcome Chris and say hey. Introduce yourself and your pronouns, please.
Hey James, this is Chris. I use he, him, or they, them. No real preference between them. Thanks for having me on.
No worries.
So, can you get me up to date on? I'm not privy to what the story you're referring to. It sounds like something about some unofficial poll watchers that.
No, they were official poll watchers. This was the very beginning of the day. I'm going through all the motions that happened in elections court in the convention center today.
Gotcha. Okay. Oh, so this is Philly.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
yeah, that very first one was Republican poll watchers saying that they didn't have enough ability to actually meaningfully observe the election and the counting.
And that was their 6 feet away thing. Yeah, that's
yeah.
not surprising, but.
So then the next motion, there were some actual interesting things that happened. Let's see. That all got resolved by them basically dropping the motion, and then. Hold on a second, just responding to Marcus. And then new motion from the Trump campaign under section 3146.8, paragraph G, section 1.1, alleging that the Biden campaign is violating the statute by allegedly seeking contact information on deficient ballots so they can notify voter that his or her ballot has been deemed deficient. Well, I guess the real language there should be that their ballot has been deemed deficient. So this has to do with as they're pre-canvassing these ballots, right? They're spoiling some of them. They're determining that some of the mailed-in ballots are deficient and declaring them invalid. So the Biden campaign was getting information of who those voters were and then attempting to contact them through email or phone or whatever other contact information they had in their database to go along with that person. And so the canvassers, the people actually counting the ballots, were providing that information to the Biden campaign, and the Trump campaign complained, saying that they're not allowed to do that. It's a sticky little part of the law. There's a possibility that they're right, because the law basically says that no one may disclose results of the pre-canvass. But the city and the Biden campaign were arguing that the identity of spoiled ballots wasn't a result because it's not how they voted, it's just their identity, so that they could get in touch. And they weren't trying to solely get in touch with Democratic voters or independent voters or Republican voters. They were trying to get in touch with anybody who had a ballot spoiled for any reason, to let them know that they should go in and go ahead and try and vote again at a polling place. So,
How many ballots were spoiled?
we don't have that information yet. That information will become live at 8:10 p.m.
Well, that sounds like they're not really revealing any results now, doesn't it? Don't even know the number of spoiled ballots. You just know that there are some, I guess.
Well, so yeah, it's an interesting conversation because were they, by giving that information to the Biden campaign, providing results? I don't know. It's a good question. It's a good conversation to have. I think that as the Biden campaign was being nonpartisan about it and just literally notifying anybody that it's not problematic, but they might have a point. They might have a point that they're not supposed to be giving out even that amount of information. I mean, what do you all think?
I guess the question becomes, what do you define as a result? So to me, a result is like, what is the outcome of an election, but maybe the legal term that they're using has a different meaning. I guess a judge might have a different opinion of that, but I think it really comes down to what you define as a result. And personally, I don't think that constitutes a result, but I'd be interested to hear what anybody else has to say about that.
I would also just it should be the state's job to notify people. That shouldn't even be the campaign's job.
Yeah, I second that motion, Charles. That's
they were doing the right thing. If they were contacting anybody and they weren't bifurcating it, then I don't see how you can say that that's wrong. Whether it's legal is a different story, but
Well, I think legality and morality are always slightly different things.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to show some footage from Marcus on the second screen here. And he's just showing us some food that has been provided to some of the voters and some of the goings-on in Center City. So this is right outside the Kimmel Center. I don't know if the Kimmel Center is who actually set up all that food, but pretty cool.
It looks like it was just somebody from the neighborhood from what the note said.
Oh, awesome.
Polls are going to close, and the first polls apparently are closing in 34 minutes, according to what MSNBC is saying. They're going through just questions that they asked voters right now in Arizona and other states.
Well, CNN's going over some of the results from Kentucky and Indiana because they closed at 6 or whatever. It's just kind of
CNN.
Yeah.
I was trying to do the 4-channel thing, but it wasn't working as well. Matter of fact, MSNBC keeps buffering.
Oh wait, no. Okay, maybe they start counting their early ballots. I don't know.
What happened is Kentucky is one of the states where they have certain areas of the state that have ended the ballots, that ended voting. I mean, at 7 o'clock. Wait a minute, that's right. At 6 o'clock. I'm sorry. 7 o'clock, you're going to see full states just saying, "Yep, we're closed. We're done."
All right.
Okay, I'm just gonna use regular TV for a minute because I think I'm gonna have to just settle for ABC for right now.
All right, and I'm going to add Katie to the first screen here. Welcome. Please introduce yourself and your pronouns and what you're doing here.
You talking to me or are you talking to everybody?
Yeah, I'm talking to you.
Oh. Hey, I'm Kim McCaffrey, Katie McCaffrey, also on Facebook. I am James's sister. So happy to be here to support and be part of the conversation. And her, she are my pronouns. I'm in South Jersey, right across the river from the airport. Son is a Philadelphia firefighter out in West Philly.
How's it going today?
One minute you're on the ceiling, the next minute you're on the floor. So far things are looking promising, but I learned a lesson in 2016. How's everybody else feeling? Are we doing okay? Everybody hanging in there?
I've been terrorized all day. It started at let's see, 6:35. A police car drove up and down all the blocks in my neighborhood, hitting his siren at every intersection for no apparent reason. Just that little horn siren that they have. Don't know why he was doing that or anything, but why they were doing that or anything, but
maybe they were excited. Wake up! It's election day.
It's election day. And then it continued with the flyover of all of the there were banner planes all day. So that was great for a neighborhood that's been terrorized by helicopters for the last week, unnecessary police helicopters for the last week, which is also great for a neighborhood that was bombed by police about 20 years ago from a police helicopter. You were going to say something there?
No, I just wanted to cut in because they're starting to put in some results from states. Right now, with 2%, I think it says 2% reporting, Trump is leading in Indiana.
Well, that's not surprising.
Yeah, but we are talking Mike Pence's state, so, but it's also Buttigieg's state, and I think he's either going to be a senator or a governor sometime in the near future.
I do too.
So right now we see Trump at 66.5%. But Biden at 31.5. And if my TV wasn't screwy, they'll probably make some points about that a little bit more. Kentucky, there's a lot of just a few, a little smattering of Kentucky counties that have gone in, and we're looking at Donald Trump at 67 in Kentucky, 67.5. And Biden, at 30 and something like that. But those are the first ones to come in. But like you said, these are the states that, are going to be like that.
Also, really any election day reporting of counted in-person balloting is going to be heavily weighted towards Republican candidates because a lot of the mail-in votes requested were Democrat requests and independent requests, and a much higher percentage of Democrat registered voters and independent registered voters requested mail-in ballots than Republican voters did, which is odd because in any other year that's exactly opposite. Independents almost never request mail-in ballots. And Democratic voters almost never request mail-in ballots either. It's usually mostly elderly and mostly Republican for requested ballots, at least in PA.
I'm going to be back in a minute.
Okay. So yeah, more of, let me remove your pin there. More of the goings-on at the convention center today. Let's see if I can find this whole thread. Lauren Vivitas was reporting all day from the convention center, and so she did it in one long thread, and it's really hard to track on Twitter when somebody does something like that. So there was that issue with the spoiled ballots, and then they discussed that for a while. I don't believe that was... So the city agreed with the interpretation of the law that that judges of elections are independently elected and they can independently decide to reach out and correct issues. Also, the Trump campaign at the same time issued another request for the court to decide whether or not poll watchers are issued certificates with a ward and division number, but per the law, they're allowed to go anywhere in the city. And
What?
so it was questionable if they were allowed to go to any poll or if they had to go to a specific poll.
Hey babe, can you do me a favor?
Oop, wrong button.
Bowl in my
That's all right.
grinder. Yeah, no rush. Thank you.
Also, seeing that the United States Postal Service failed to meet the deadline by the U.S. District Judge to sweep the remaining mail ballots as of this week, they estimate those are about 300,000 ballots, and they failed to meet that deadline today.
So it looks like Marcus, are you at another polling location?
Yeah, I'm over here at the Philadelphia Senior Center, which is, I think, 500 Broad. I was just talking to one of the poll workers who was saying that it's been kind of slow. There's only been like 3 or 4 people in here in like the last hour.
Awesome. And does that poll worker have the number? Are they willing to reveal the number of votes that have happened there?
I could ask real quick.
It
Yeah,
should
sure.
all be in my bag.
Yeah, and as a percentage of
Can you
how
grab me
many
my jar weed too? I'll make a blunt
how
for
many
after dinner.
people vote
Is
there?
there any chance that I could ask how many people have voted here today? Is there?
We don't know.
You guys don't keep track of that? You just ship them right out, though.
Oh, well, if you see from the side. We're not inside, seeing the side.
Okay.
We don't have access to the data.
I got you.
Oh, they're poll watchers. They're outside poll watchers. Gotcha. Awesome. Okay. They're actually supposed to be asking for voter numbers, but all right. I'm gonna go off of you, Marcus, and we'll just keep talking about what has been going on today. Thanks, Marcus.
No problem.
And,
I'm just basically monitoring social media. As I said, I'm going to be out of here at about 7 o'clock because I got to bounce off to another Zoom conference. I've been asked to go to several of them now, and I'm just going to try to just flitter through all of them. I knew it was going to be a busy day.
well, thanks for your help so far.
Oh, no
Feel free to
worries.
jump back on.
I'll come back before the evening is done. But and by the way, I am still going to yours. This coverage is what is embedded on One People's Project and on IDVOX. So it's not like I'm ignoring y'all.
All right. Well, thank you.
I do want to say that 2/3 of voters say their choice for president was driven by their opinion of President Trump, according to AP Votecast. That's really a good sign, but you know.
I mean, it's also interesting because I mean, your choice for president, if it's driven by your impression of President Trump, I don't usually like to say those two words in the same sentence.
I was going to say the same thing.
I was just reading it. So.
But if it's driven by your impression of Trump, it's a question of then, like this election has become about a mandate on Trump and his policies. So, and it's also interesting to see some of the changes that have happened in the last couple of days, really, with Trump and how he's representing his policies. Some of the things. some of the things he's now taking credit for and or downplaying and stuff like that. There's been a drastic change. I know a lot of folks probably don't follow Trump very closely, but I don't either. But I have been following some of the social media reports of what he's saying at rallies and whatnot. Aside from abandoning his audience twice. Possibly three times. Abandoning his audience in the middle of an airfield in the middle of nowhere 3 times because he didn't decide to pay the bus companies. But yeah, he's made some changes to what he's been saying. It's been pretty interesting to watch. Talking about, healthcare, talking about the things that people actually care about, and it's been pretty interesting. So the third motion of the day from also came from the Trump campaign, which was that what I was talking about before we got into this, which is that poll watchers need to be able to go everywhere in the city. The city agreed with the campaign and said that the poll watchers can go anywhere, but again, judges of elections are independently elected and they make their decisions independent of the city. The city can issue guidance, but they can't reach out to all 1,700 polling places and tell everyone you have to let poll watchers in. And the city also rejoined back that the Trump campaign needed to make sure that they didn't violate the numbers, which each candidate and party is allowed to have one inside poll watcher in the city of Philadelphia. So you can't have more than one poll watcher in the city of Philadelphia inside of a polling place, and so they needed to make sure that they could do that. So the Trump campaign basically decided that there was no argument here, so they would just reach out to their poll watchers and reach out, and the Biden campaign was willing to also, join with them and say, hey, you do have to let at least one poll watcher in to each place. And they agreed to, funnel information on any polling place where this was a problem to the Trump campaign and to the city, and the city would agree to reach out individually to any polling place where this became a problem. So that's pretty interesting. People work. They were all working together to make sure the election happens legitimately. So let's see, motion 2. Let's see.
I got something here that's interesting that should be put out. There is apparently a Pennsylvania constable. I don't know what the hell that's supposed to mean. Annie Fetch Gorton put this out.
I saw that.
Okay, and he's saying that there's somebody blocking the vote 3 hours ago, blocking the entranceway into the voting place in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. Now, Williamsport, Pennsylvania, this is a guy who's supposed to be about conspiracy theories and Pizzagate and all that. Williamsport, Pennsylvania was where the Nazis decided to march earlier this year. Because of COVID, no one was out there to deal with them, and there was only like 15 of them. So this is so we're just basically seeing these idiots trying to do something. And we're going to be dealing with that. We're going to be dealing with that long after this is done, especially if Biden gets in there. If Trump gets in there, we're really going to be dealing with it. But
I'm going to add I'll add the copy of I'll show folks that picture in a second. I just need
Brian
to.
Davenport is the constable.
Yes, he's actually a registered constable in this state, and I'm going to, as soon as I find it, there it is, window capture. I will show folks the picture in the Twitter thread in a second. Okay. Oh, just crop that off and crop that off. There we go. I'm just going to bring that up on the screen for everyone real quick. There you go. So this is the picture of what was going on in Williamsport, PA. And as you can see, this state constable was fully blocking the entrance to the polling place and not letting people by without informing them that masks are not required and basically intimidating them. I'm pasting into the chat for everyone else a link to that tweet so you can take a look at it. But yeah, pretty interesting day there. That happened right around the same time as the Trump administration notified the court in Center City, the elections court in Center City, that a voter was allowed to vote without surrendering their ballot. And they went through a few motions with regard to that. The Trump campaign asked to basically lock down that particular polling machine that voter was allowed to vote on. The Biden campaign was counter-arguing that, yes, that vote should be invalidated, or that voters should have to sign an affidavit that they did not turn in their mail-in ballot, and it should be investigated afterwards. But then the judge of elections determined that it would be too burdensome to shut down that polling machine, leaving that polling place without a polling machine for the rest of the day. So there was quite a lot of argument back and forth with that. Interestingly, with modern voting technology, they can track that voter's mail ballot and that voter's ballot on the machine and invalidate just that specific ballot if they want to. So,
interestingly enough, I mean, I think that's going to be one of the things that if Trump loses, we're going to have to do a complete overhaul of our voting process. And yeah, we got ourselves we're going to end up with a president that may not be too keen on doing that. I mean, because he's, a centrist. But we're just going to have to be out in the streets and just basically make sure that everything that Trump has showed us was wrong with this country, we have to fix if we're going to maintain it. If we're going to maintain it. Now, I do know that tomorrow there's going to be rallies all over the country, regardless of what happens. And it's basically, as I told somebody from Wall Street Journal today, I told them, look, it's there to reinforce our position. It's basically to say you will fix something. And we just got to have that attitude. We just got to have that attitude. I think a lot of people are resentful of the Democratic Party right now because people feel they're being made to vote for somebody they don't like. And there were so many other candidates that they would have liked. And you go on Twitter, you go on Facebook, and you're arguing with people who are supposedly supposed to be on our side, who say that they're just going to be spending a lot of time trying to keep AOC from getting stronger. And it's like, the Democrats are the new conservatives. The Democrats are the new right wing. And you're going to start seeing that. You're going to start seeing that in the next 5, 10, 15 years, that we're going to have to go elsewhere at some point. If we haven't already, we are going to have to build up other institutions so that we can resolve the problems that we have.
Yeah.
I'm going to continue on about maybe 5 minutes, but like I said, this is still being embedded on all my feeds, on all my websites. So.
Well, can I respond to something that you said there a little bit back in your statements, Daryl? You said a lot of people are angry that they feel like they're being forced to vote for somebody that they don't want to by the Democratic Party. Hey, how you doing? That's me right here. I voted actually for the first time in my entire life this year, and I did so under duress. I did so under the fear of encroaching. Like, not that the United States government hasn't always had fascistic tendencies, not that a lot of the policies that the United States government has used are the framework for what European fascists use to construct their power structures. But like, it's gotten a lot worse. It's gotten a lot worse in the last, even just the past 4 years. I do think that, though, you know, whereas that's true, I hate to give Trump any credit. I really do. But during the last debate, there was one thing that he said that I think had some degree of validity. Now, his actions undermine the validity of that statement, and I'll get to that. But he said,
"No, you don't have to. We get it."
Well, no, you'll get it. But he said, "Who built those cages?" That's a valid statement. That really is a valid statement. Now, the way he undermines it is by he didn't tear the cages down.
Right.
He made things worse in the cages, and now he's building walls. So, like, it's not. You know, whereas his criticism is valid, his, I guess, praxis in response to that is obviously not. So, but to circle back, you know, like I voted under duress.
Yeah.
Is essential, and I think that there's a lot of people who feel that way, and I think that that's something that is definitely that bears repeat.
Well, it's like I was telling a reporter earlier today. It's like, remember, Occupy and Black Lives Matter all came up during the Obama administration. There were situations that were not being addressed correctly.
That's absolutely true, yeah.
And there's the other thing that Republicans like to say is that all the civil unrest and all the problems with police are happening in Democratic cities run by Democratic mayors. That is not to say the Republicans do any better, because Rudolph Giuliani was a mayor in NYC when Amadou Diallo was killed. And there's a whole bunch of other things that went on during Giuliani. I don't think that makes a difference. And I think it basically shows us how much there are two peas in a pod, the parties in particular. I think what upsets everybody with the Democrats is that in many respects, progressives built this party to be the party of the working class, so to speak, to be the party for the underprivileged and such. And it's like now what we see are people who say they want to be centrist about it and pretending to be about the poor, pretend to be about the underprivileged, pretend to be about the working class. And if you do not accept their facade, they're going to fight you. Basically, their votes they rely on the votes of people they hate and of people who hate them. And
yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah,
it's dangerous. That is going to come. There's going to be a comeuppance around that. And I would say, look at it like this. Let's say that we maintain the two-party system, which I really hope we don't. As a matter of fact, I hope we destroy the party system to begin with.
Yeah, can we get rid of the Electoral College and do ranked voting already, like the rest of the civilized world?
Well, the Electoral College has got to go. I think that's going to be a first tier. I think the curious thing about the Electoral College is that once it's gone, a lot of parties, the Republicans and Democratic parties, are going to find out exactly how we feel about them, because we won't have an Electoral College in the way. They will have to go to all 50 states after.
Well, let me ask you a question though. What the Electoral College, the people who it benefits are the red states.
Right.
They're not gonna ratify an amendment that's gonna screw them.
We don't care.
No, I mean, how are you gonna get rid of it? It requires a constitutional amendment.
Because we'll go through the amendment process. It is going to be a fight. It is going to be a situation where we say we are going to do this because
Okay.
here's it's going to be. I mean, and I understand your concern. Believe me, but it's going to be a fight. It's not going to happen next year. It might. There's going to be a few things that keep it from happening for a good 10, 15 years. But the truth of the matter is, people are looking at the electoral college as being a detriment to democracy now. It's anti.
Yeah. But I mean, I agree with you. I'm just saying the practicality of what you're trying to do is really insane.
If there's one thing, if you're really about change and about trying to build and evolve and grow this country and grow this society in general, it's not going to be practical. We're going to be about the most impractical folks in the world. And as we win, then things become practical. I mean, let's be real. The things that were happening during the civil rights movement, that was not practical.
Yeah, I was just going to interject and say something to that effect, is that, you know, any major social change that has happened in the history of this country, or really anywhere in the world, like, you know, whether that be the abolition of slavery, you know, the enfranchisement of African Americans as voters, women getting to vote, you know, all of these things at the time, like, talk about political discourse and like how toxic it is now. Can you imagine what the rhetoric was around the time when like the suffrage movement was happening for women, or the civil rights movement? Like, you know, we act like political discourse has gotten to this incredibly, you know, disparate. And when in reality, I think it's kind of always been that way to some extent. Just maybe you didn't see it on the media as much, because media through the internet has become more accessible. So now you get more different disparate voices that get broad reaching access. But I think among like individuals in the society that sort of, you know, I just like, I guarantee you that there was a white, you know, nuclear family with 2.5 kids and a picket fence that were sitting around the dinner table one night, and the wife Margaret says to the husband Bob, you know, honey, I think it would be nice if women could vote. I would like to get the vote. And he probably laughed in her face, you know. So I think, you know, my sort of response to the it's impractical to get rid of the electoral college is every major thing that's happened in the history as far as progress goes has been deemed impractical at some point.
You know what else is impractical? They're funding the police, but they're calling for it anyway. And you know, I mean, it's not to beat up on you, Charles, man. Because, I mean, I understand the frustration, but it is a case that we do have to do something that changes everything. And whether or not it's probably going to, whether or not it's Trump winning tonight or whether or not it's Biden, that's still going to be the case. Now, it depends on who's president, how we wage that fight. The way that Trump folks are talking, it looks like we're going to be using bullets. And I prefer not to. So let's hope that Biden pulls it off.
Yeah, a lot of those clowns are going to really regret that decision 6 years down the line when there's still an active insurgency, if it does come to that. And by clowns, I mean the accelerationists on both sides that are like, right, you know, violent revolution is coming. That is not what anybody actually wants. I promise you.
I would submit that the accelerationists are the first ones to die. They are not prepared for what comes.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Because the accelerationists are not taking into account how people who aren't in the streets right now are going to react. You start threatening things that folks hold dear, their livelihood, their health, their children's health and all that. Oh, whatever it takes, you're gone. And that's one of the things we notice about what happened over the past 5 months, with people out in the streets blowing things up. Now people want to look at what Black Lives Matter has to say. It's just like when Charlottesville blew up. Then they wanted to start taking care of the Nazis. You can best believe that the people you think are not prepared for your accelerationism are more prepared than you are. They're the ones that are standing down. They're the one, and a lot of these places don't even have guns. They'll get them. They'll get them if they have to.
Yeah, guns are not a rare resource in this country by any means.
Yeah,
but
but
I think also to your point is like, what a lot of people who are really accelerationists in their revolutionary rhetoric overlook is that they're sitting there typing on, their social media about how we need to, guillotine the rich and overthrow the bourgeoisie, which, like, in theory, I support the idea of, eating the rich as a concept as for redistribution of wealth. But like, while they're doing that, there are people who have ranches where they have, shooter drill courses that are similar to the military. And a lot of people who get involved in those things are ex-military or ex-special forces. And they, one of the things that they teach you in special forces is how to train people. I was actually talking to somebody not that long ago that was like, I don't think it's like ISIS, where they're like, they have camps and they're out there like, no, they do. They really do.
And I would,
I mean, you saw the video from, I don't know if everyone saw the video from the training camp of the guys that got arrested because they were going to attack the Governor Whitmer, but there was video of them practicing getting out of a car with AKs and assaulting a person.
And see, this is one of the reasons why I say that the accelerationists are going to be the first to go. Because right now, they're just LARPing. Really. Even when they go to their little trainings and all that. They are fighting. Let's be real. If they got into urban warfare like this in Philly, if people felt that they are a threat to their neighborhood and they're coming into it, North Philly knows how to handle them. All the maneuvers in the world, in the woods or behind buildings and all that. Brothers and sisters will take them down. And then take their weapons when they do. So it's like I said, the people that you are not expecting, the ones that are not in those streets right now, the ones who are not focused on you right now, are the ones that are going to drop you first. And this will be, and they keep forgetting that. There was an interesting thing, incidentally, speaking to that. I watch The Walking Dead. And I watch in particular Fear the Walking Dead. There was a little arc that they had, and if anybody never watched the show before, it's the zombie apocalypse. Everything has gone to shit or whatever. There's a lot of there was an arc in which, now that everything is collapsed, tribes were getting their land back or trying to get their land back from some people, ranchers and things like that. And they looked, and this is important, they looked at people who were not of their tribe as being the enemy. And they were nasty about it. There were no votes on that one. So you can say you were down with the tribe to begin at all, however you want to. But the truth of the matter is, they didn't care. You weren't in their tribe. You had to go. That is something that we are going to have to redress if something did end up causing this society to collapse, because we're on Lenape land. The Lenape tribe wants their land back. Whose side are we going to be on? I'm going to be on the side of Lenape and stand down. But then that does raise the question as to what happens to us. So, no one is prepared for when the acceleration goes down. No, I say it as Mike Tyson put it, and a lot of people know this quote: Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. and there is no more. That is exactly where we are today. Everybody knows what they are going to do until it's time to do it. And it hurts you. So I did say I was going to be taking off. I got to take off now. But like I said, I'll be back. And I'll catch up to you. I'll catch up to you in about an hour or two.
All right, sounds good. And I've just had some election results. Okay, so sorry, I'm multitasking, so I'm going back and forth between folks here. There's Marcus, our on-scene reporter, has an interview with an election volunteer, and I just need to set it up so that he can go.
About an
live.
hour or two.
All right, thanks, Daryl. Look forward to it. So Marcus, you there?
Hi, how's it going?
How's it going? You have an interview with a volunteer?
Yeah, so I'm talking with Ingrid here, who was volunteering today mostly all day, correct? Okay.
Got here at 6:30 in the morning.
6:30 a.m. Was it dark still out,
Oh,
basically?
it was dark, but there was already a line.
Already a line? How far did it stretch?
It stretched basically to the gate.
I got you. Okay. How's it going? Was it a peaceful experience? Was there anybody coming out here agitating or anything like that?
All peaceful, no agitation, no disruption at all.
What was the demographic like?
A lot of students
Yeah.
for this area.
No, I feel that.
So I would say it's majority students.
Okay.
Racially diverse.
Mhm.
More younger adults, like the traditional student age.
I got you.
We have certainly some older folks who live in this neighborhood too.
Okay. And you were saying that you didn't happen to vote today. You already voted.
I mailed in my ballot 2.5 weeks or so ago.
Okay.
So I got my response.
You got your confirmation and everything? Wonderful.
Yeah. Great. Do you know which district? Nope. Okay.
Just over here at the Walnut Street West Library. It's pretty much in University City, right between Penn Campus and Drexel.
Awesome. Well, if you'll stick around there, Marcus, and I'm going to transition off of you, and if you wouldn't mind just asking that voter when he comes out, if he wouldn't mind just giving a quick interview to you, we'll talk to you when he comes back out.
For sure, no problem.
All right, thanks. So we're back on us, and I'm going to welcome an additional guest. Cheryl, welcome. Introduce yourself, your pronouns, and what it is you do. Welcome an additional guest. Cheryl, welcome. Introduce yourself, your pronouns, and I'm getting weird feedback for some reason. Welcome an additional guest. Cheryl, welcome. Introduce yourself. Is that from you, Cheryl? Sorry.
I'm muted.
I was afraid we were going to end up in an infinite loop there for a second.
There we go.
All right. So yeah, we were in an infinite loop there for a second.
That was like crazy. Is this the Twilight Zone? Like, oh my God.
End up in an infinite loop there for a second.
There we go.
All right. So yeah, we were in an infinite loop there for a second. Oh, now we're back in the infinite loop. Wait, who's playing my audio? Is it you, Cheryl? You have to mute the playback.
Yeah.
Well, now we're back in the infinite loop. Wait, who's playing my audio?
Oh no! Oh no!
You have to mute the playback. Well, now we're back in the infinite
Hold
loop.
on.
Wait, who's playing my audio?
Let's see.
Cheryl already promised that she was going to have a hangover in the morning, no matter what the election results were. So you're just starting early.
Here we go. So I'm Cheryl. I use the pronouns her and she. I am a scientist by trade, and I also probably formerly used to host a lot of events around the Philadelphia area. So yeah, it's great to be on.
I was just before you joined in. We had an interview with a poll worker in Philadelphia at the Walnut West Library, who was telling us it's been a pretty good day. Started out busy, but they're not busy right now. Haven't been for a few hours, and I'm going to bring up some election results on my screen. On the broadcast, you all can see that if you're tuned into the broadcast. The folks on the call here can't. Sorry about that. But so far, these election results are from the Associated Press. Some interesting things. Kentucky, if we zoom in here, Kentucky has been showing Lexington, the Lexington area as going towards Amy McGrath. Right now, overall, the state, the vote count is showing a preference for Mitch McConnell, and only one county is fully. None of the counties are fully declared. This is just a 14% of the counties reporting, and so those are some interesting results. We should probably keep up with that all day. Zoom back out to all the states. Virginia has, let's see, nope, that's the wrong state. Let's go to Virginia. Has been declared for Democratic Party candidate Mark Warner with only 1% of districts reporting. I don't know exactly how they're declaring that, declaring him the winner. I never quite understand what AP and other news organizations choose to use as their qualification for declaring winners, but yeah, I don't know.
It's a combination of exit polls and actual results. Usually what they do is like they check their exit polls, and then if the exit polls are like extraordinarily like different, they might spot check some of the results, and then that's how they do it, basically, from what I understand.
So how would all the counts be in if, there's a lot of mail-in ballots? Like, I'm going to guess that they're kind of going on the percentage of voters at this point, because, this is kind of weird to have some declaring wins in certain states.
Well, I feel like this is something that has been an issue that the American news media has like kind of created whole cloth through the whole 24-hour news coverage sort of syndicate that they have, where it's a race to who can report first, and we're a very instant gratification culture, and for years and years and years, for probably my entire lifetime, I've always remembered on election night just watching, what was happening on the news. I didn't watch in 2016 because I had hoped that it was not that I would be happy about a Clinton president, but I had hoped it was going to be a slam dunk for Hillary. So I didn't even watch. And I woke up, I was walking around the city of Philadelphia, and I just saw it on people's faces. I didn't even look at the results that Trump had won. But sorry, I digress. So we've been set up to this type of situation where we just we expect that we're going to know the results by the end of the night. And that's, I think, is what has set up. That was the alley to Donald Trump's oop, as far as, all right, well, we're not going to count any ballots past just November 3rd. If it doesn't get in, all the challenging of mail-in voting, all that stuff, that, as much as obviously it's Donald Trump that's creating this sort of crisis, it was teed up by the American news media by doing this to people for generations now at this point,
Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said for horse race. Everybody wants to see a winner and a loser and have a definitive at the end of the night. So, that's I think it's a self propagating problem. You want the natural tendency is that everybody wants that sort of horse race. It's tough to manage expectations. I woke up this morning and I said, merry election miss. It's election day, everybody, yay. How do you solve the letdown of, well, it's really going to be like 3 or 4 days before we know all the counted ballots, all the mail-in ballots, everything.
Yeah, actually. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish your point.
I mean, when, you can just tune to the Associated Press, which is a really trusted news organization, and they're, with 17% reporting, they're already declaring Kentucky for Donald Trump, with 55% of the vote. 55% of the vote isn't a big lead. That could change in a heartbeat, especially with not all of Lexington and other populous areas, Louisville, all that, when they haven't reported it all. But they're also declaring Vermont already for Joe Biden. If I can zoom in here, with none of the vote count reported. They're declaring Vermont for Joe Biden. So, I guess you could do exit polling, but with the amount of mail-in ballots this year, how are you going to definitely know what Vermont is going to what the results in Vermont are going to be before the end of next month?
Yeah, just to clarify too on my previous, because when I said American news, now I don't mean it in like a nefarious, like the press is the enemy of the free people kind of way. What really the story is I think that there's like a cultural, an American cultural thing where, like you said, we want the horse race, we want the instant gratification, we want to know the answer by the end of the night. So that was, it's sort of a chicken and egg thing. They kind of help feed each other along.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a chicken.
I do think it's all. I do think you also raise an interesting point with all the mail-in ballots and how that, because like Charles was saying, a lot of the predictive stuff that these news organizations do is based on exit polling. Well, if mail-in voting is up by however much percent, I'm not going to throw out a number for conjecture, but there's more mail-in voting this year than there has ever been. Mm-hmm. So now, does that change the entire way that we analyze our elections? Are we using a broken model? By we, I mean, is the press using a broken model to make these predictions? I mean, I would argue that, yeah, they probably are. I would argue they've probably been using a broken model the entire time, but now we're sort of seeing it exposed.
Yeah, and I'm hearing a lot of places that are doing paper ballots that used to be, machines. So how is that? How are they doing the paper? I think some people kind of, it caught them off guard. Like they showed up thinking they were going to use a machine, and then they were handed a piece of paper to fill out and put through the machine, or, hand to somebody else. So I don't know. It's going to be kind of weird this year.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I trust a paper ballot just implicitly more than an electronic voting machine. But yeah, I mean, that definitely, there's a logistical challenge. If like some paper ballots, I'm sure. I know the paper ballot that I filled out in New Jersey, probably not something that gets counted by a machine. Maybe it is. It's like filling in a bubble, but
So as of October 26th, 3 counties, Philadelphia, Allegheny, and Montgomery County, accounted for more than a third of all the mail-in ballot applications. 400,000 plus in Philadelphia, 400,000 plus in Allegheny County, and 200,000 plus in Montgomery County. It's pretty interesting numbers. I'm gonna compare with previous years' election numbers.
It's something that this election also kind of made me think of too. Is like, why have we not just always done mail-in voting? Like, it kind of makes, like on a wide scale like this, like it kind of makes more sense, especially in rural communities.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the convenience of it, I guess, or I don't know. Probably has something to do with some civil rights, stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure voter suppression plays a part, absolutely.
Because they don't want to make it too easy for you.
comparing with old results in the 2016 election, Philadelphia County in total had 690,000 votes in total, and there, as of October 26th, there were already 500,000, nearly 500,000 requests for mail-in ballots in Philadelphia County for this election. So I would guess that not only is voter turnout going to be massively different than in previous elections, but it's already looking like there's a lot more voting going on in person as well.
Yeah, I think, what did they say? Like 100 and something million people early voted.
Is yours made too?
Yeah, I haven't found the current numbers for early voting. 2.6 million ballots were requested by October 13th. But yeah, we'll have some return numbers in about 45 minutes from the state. The state will be returning those numbers after 8.
I'm still unsure why we're seeing states called. Like Fox News is calling Virginia and Vermont for Biden, saying still too early for Kentucky, South Carolina, Indiana. I'm unclear about why they're able to do that.
Yeah, it's an interesting problem. Looking at Senate results for Virginia, they're also declaring the Senate race for the Democrat for Virginia, Mark Warner, which, again, these are very early election results, folks, so I wouldn't put a lot of faith into them. But yeah, the AP is declaring Mark Warner the winner for the election in Virginia. Yeah. And Vermont and Kentucky have not become undeclared in the meantime, so also keep in mind that election results can be changed. They're not final. These are just guesstimates by reporters, and I think the overall point of the conversation is that we're not really able to predict this election the same way that we would have in the past. I think that this is a relatively unpredictable election. Cheryl, you do data science, right?
Yes.
How do you apply an old set of circumstances to, like, a new set of an old set of rules to a new set of circumstances?
You really kind of don't. So the new circumstances will have basically a new, so it's kind of weird. So kind of like how we were talking about with before, when absentee ballots were basically few and far in between, and it was all, done in person. That's that reality. And now the reality is now you have to wait for all these paper ballots, provisional ballots, the actual, machines. So that's a completely different situation. Unless they thought about it ahead of time and actually counted all of the mail-in ballots beforehand instead of waiting until election day, then that leaves fewer ballots on the actual day to actually count. But I know when I did mine, it looked like I was doing a Scantron, like for school or something. So if they're just
You're in New Jersey, right?
I'm Delaware now.
Oh, Delaware. Yeah, they all look like Scantrons.
Yeah, so if it's anything like that and they're feeding it through the machine, okay, then we should be fine. If you filled in your circle completely with a blue or black pen, blah, 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 it should work. If they're, out of date and don't have one of those machines they can scan it through, then if they're having to somehow, count all of that, then we're screwed.
Well, I would think that the most of the time investment in this process would be actually prepping it from what you actually sent to the election folks, because you're not sending them something that they're instantly going to be able to use. They're going to have to prep it. They're going to have to make it ready to go into that machine. And one of my early jobs when I was a kid, working for our dad, Kim, was he was a mortgage banker. So I got to go in one summer and work. But my job was to put together mortgage packets to send out to customers. So it was like an intro packet. Like you've applied to refinance your mortgage. You need this piece of paper, this piece of paper, this piece of paper, this form. They all have to be in this order. And this was a while ago, so this is before collating copiers and stuff like that. So I literally was standing in front of a bank of boxes that had all these forms and papers in them, and I would have to pull them down one at a time and collate them and put them in the right order, and then put them all together, and then put them in an envelope, and then start on the next one. That's basically what they have to do, and I can tell you it's not a fast process. They have to open the secrecy envelope, then they have to collect all the envelopes with their secrecy envelope and enclosed, and then they have to mix up the ballots, and then they have to open all the secrecy envelopes, and then they have to count each vote and feed that through a machine. I mean, it automatically feeds it through the machine to some extent, but still, it's a lot of work. So
I wonder, I think that's where PA was a little bit different. So they had the secrecy envelope, but for Delaware, we didn't have a secrecy envelope. We just had the one, and you just put your ballot in that. And you sign the outside of that too. So I don't know if that's kind of the same concept where when they get that envelope, they check your signature first and then, open your ballot and accept it, or reject it kind of thing.
So yeah, in PA, we had the double system. And that's basically to protect the identity of your vote. So we had the outer envelope, which you signed, has your address on it, has the election commission address on it, etc. And then inside of that is a plain white envelope that just says Board of Elections and is where you put your actual ballot. So I think I personally like that that system, the secrecy system. I don't know. It does bring up the. I don't quite understand Pennsylvania Supreme Court's argument that not having that secrecy envelope would make it invalid.
Yeah, that's weird.
Right, because you still have your signature on that outer one, right?
Just the outer one.
Yeah. So you would, so that extra envelope is just to have the secrecy. That's not
So,
Yeah, that doesn't change your vote.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand. Like, I understand having a secrecy ballot so that people don't tamper with your shit or whatever. Or you can't attribute somebody's vote to somebody, but like saying that you have to have it, that seems pretty stupid.
yeah, so I think with the secrecy ballot, my take on it is that, like you want voting to be able to be done in secret because that protects people who might be persecuted politically or for any other reason. And we have a long, rich tradition of doing that here in the United States. So yeah, that's definitely something I'm all for. However, I also kind of view it as almost like a optional thing, like in the sense that, like, if I chose for whatever reason to like I'll tell anybody, I'll vote for Biden. I face very little fear of political violence for saying that, but like that's who I voted for. And so I think invalidating somebody's vote because they opted out, whether intentionally or unintentionally, they opted out of the secrecy option of their vote. I think that's pretty undemocratic.
So we have another guest. Joe Cox has joined the chat. Let me see if I can get Joe on video and audio. Yeah, I don't understand. I'm not quite certain what makes. I guess you could say that there's a potential for intimidation if the secrecy isn't there. And that might make it invalid. I really can't put it together in a legal argument, or even like any supposition of a legal argument. So I have a little problem with it.
The Secretary of State's office had said that he expected to have
So, if anybody is watching any of the broadcast channels and they'd like to ask a question or join, feel free to add your question or comment to the chat. I can see all the chats on my interface here, and I will ask the panel any question that you might have. I also will be accepting other folks on to the guest list as they come in.
Hopefully not.
And there's Amy.
Producer for South Carolina Public Radio and joins us now. Alicia, that race in the Senate is one a lot of folks have their eyes on. Senator Lindsey Graham is fending off a challenge from Democratic Senator Jamie Harris.
Is that your audio, Kim, that has the TV?
No, I don't have any audio on.
And welcome, Amy. Amy Smith. Please introduce yourself and your pronouns and what it is you do.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amy Smith. I use she, her pronouns.
And, welcome, Amy. Uh-oh. You're watching the broadcast at the same time. Cheryl just did this.
Hi, everyone. Sorry about that. Had it going in two places. Amy Smith. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a dance and theater artist, educator, and facilitator. I'm happy to be here with you all tonight.
Thank you. Well, thank you for joining us. We were talking about you joining. I think we were just discussing a couple of things. The idea of invalidating ballots because of a lack of secrecy envelope. If you want to talk about that, and then also we were discussing these early election results that are already appearing on the Associated Press.
Yeah. I mean, I am glad that we have a system that makes it, that protects the ballot. But I do think it's a little overly complicated, and especially when it comes to like the matching signature piece of it. I live in New Jersey, and I know in our little tiny county, something like 300 people got letters from the county clerk needing to cure their ballot before election day, and it was probably just because the middle initial wasn't there, or they signed it a little differently than they signed it last time, or whatever. And so that kind of thing is really frustrating. I feel like there's got to be a better way for the sake of our democracy, for everyone to be able to vote secretly, but with less hassle about confirming the identity of the voter and making sure that it's a legitimate ballot.
Yeah, I can't quite understand the legal argument behind invalidating the whole ballot just because the secrecy envelope isn't there. Were you able to read into any of that?
No, you mean in Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
No, I mean I'm guessing it's just like all of these tactics are just the Republicans trying to invalidate votes. Period. It's all just about suppression and undercounting. So.
Well, that ruling was interesting because it was multi-part, and some of the parts were very pro-voter, and some of them were very anti-voter. Like it was an interesting ruling, so I couldn't quite suss it out. And then we were talking about early election results. So clearly. These folks have been reporting on elections for a really long time. AP also called West Virginia for the GOP, and PBS did as well. I'm bringing up on screen the Associated Press results on the broadcast. And yeah, I mean, presidential-wise, they're calling Vermont for Joe Biden. They're calling West Virginia for Trump. They're calling Kentucky for Trump as well. There are leads in other states, but they haven't declared any of the other states. But let's take a look at West Virginia. Sorry, my finger clicked the wrong thing. And again, in West Virginia, which has been declared for Donald Trump, there are 0 votes in. There is 0% vote in. No districts reporting.
I mean, we know that some states are likely to go strongly one direction or the other, which is why they feel comfortable making these calls. But I think it's bullshit, and they should wait until there's a substantial percentage of votes in. Yeah, but we're watching Florida results right now on MSNBC, and what's really alarming so far, the result that's been the most disturbing, is that Miami-Dade County is like more or less evenly split. And what did they say last time? Hillary won it with like 63%, 64%. So who knows if that's some kind of shenanigans, because Florida is known for voting shenanigans.
Interesting, looking at the House results for Miami-Dade County, they're declaring a Democrat winner in all of the districts around Miami and north of Miami up to Palm Beach. They haven't declared Palm Beach County yet, and haven't declared Miami County itself. Yeah.
I just keep thinking, like, who, I mean, I know who it is. It's 52% of white women. But who are these people that are voting for Donald Trump right now? I mean, it's just, and some people say, oh, I think he's doing fine with the pandemic, or it's the economy. But I'm like, are you better off financially
in a different
now?
world. They're in a different world.
Yeah.
They are in an alternate universe. Yeah.
I mean, I understand before he was elected that farmers were like, oh, he's going to do some trade deals with China and we're going to do better, which he did not, and they have not. Or coal miners saying in West Virginia, he's going to save coal and we'll keep our jobs, which he did not, and they did not. But now, after 4 years of the opposite of that happening, and I know it's not, I know it's this, but it's still just like.
I love that you have that on hand.
Well, I'm reading it right now.
That was perfect.
Oh, it's just, I don't know.
I think they're still expecting him to do something. I've heard a lot of people say, well, he's going to make, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. Like, we had 4 years and we are still in the same situation. It's not like, and he's undone so many things. I guess that's what they call him doing. Like, this is what he's done. He's wrote a lot of executive orders to undo everything that was done the past 8 years.
Right.
His entire presidency has been attempting to undo the Obama presidency.
Right.
Yes.
And now he's saying, okay, now I'm going to do everything that I said I was going to do before. I didn't do it, but
I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Mitch McConnell wouldn't let me.
But he's also the president who didn't know that Kansas City was in Missouri.
There is a Kansas City in Kansas, to be fair, but that's not where the football team is from.
Are the Super Bowl winners.
That's not where the football team is from.
This is the dude that's supposed to be the head of the states that are united. All you gotta do is remember.
He can't spell Kentucky, and Kentucky has already been declared for him. Like, that's the world we live in. Like,
he doesn't read. He doesn't.
And I think I guess
So
I'm just most
I actually have
disappointed in women, like white women.
I've tried stopping to figure it out because it was really weighing on me. I spent a lot of time trying to understand the logic, the approach, the methodology, something.
Yeah.
And I had to let it go. I had to, because I have a lot of theories on it. And I think it's, it's based in fear and all sorts of other things that they've been socialized to be prone to, but I had to let it go. It drained all the energy out of it. I feel like we've just been weathering this storm for the last 4 years. I was like, well, they're going to do what they're going to do. But however, we'll be circling back later on. Like, after this is done, we have to. We won't be able to grow unless we circle back, figure out what just went down. Why is it that, the women that are, fit my demographic made that choice? Just kind of doing the work that I was doing at the time that he was elected. I was a sexual assault prevention coordinator in a big county in New Jersey, and knew factually literally within 24 hours of his election, the rate of sexual assault went up in his name. Young girl, not girl, or she was a young adult, but had just graduated high school, grabbed in the crotch on a bus in his name. And, domestic violence, but they voted.
Came out for him again.
So but it's you and I responsibility. You and I are going to have to circle back and do that work. They are our responsibility. It's going to be on us to round them up. And I heard somebody say on Twitter at one point, that's going to be on us to round them up to make them hear our rage. And so we're going to have to do that work.
I have kind of an interesting perspective as far as, because I just circling back to the original sort of premise for this particular topic is, like, I don't understand who's still voting for Donald Trump, and I'm with you on that, but I actually happen to know a bunch of them, and I work in a trade union, and I will tell you that of the members of my union that are voting, the vast minority is Trump, but they are I always laugh when Republicans call themselves the silent majority, because my response to that is, all right, well, shut the fuck up about it. But at any rate, what I hear from them when I have conversations, and if anybody who has been friends with me on Facebook knows, I have these conversations quite often. First and foremost, they don't understand what the fuck they're talking about 99% of the time. Like, so you'll hear stuff like, Joe Biden's going to raise our taxes. And
to your point. Yeah. To your point, I just wanted to bring up. I was actually queuing this up, and to your point, I just wanted to bring this up. I'm pasting it in the chat for you guys, but there's a tweet that went around today in the right-wing blogosphere. A poll: do you trust election officials in Philly? And speaking of not knowing what the fuck you're talking about before talking about it, a lot of these people don't realize that our Philadelphia election commissioner is a Republican.
They don't trust him.
And they don't trust him.
Deep state.
You know what, James? I agree with them.
I actually trust Al Schmidt. He's done a very good job.
I just thought that was funny.
He's a really actually a very good election commissioner.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
A lot of it comes down to things like cognitive dissonance. I'm glad you're having those conversations online. Out of an act of self-care, I had to stop doing that. I've been doing that, my professional career. That was my job description, was to confront these rigid, gender-based stereotypes and cultural-based stereotypes. But I don't have those conversations now. So thank you for stepping out and doing that. But I have found any kind of confrontation of that, they dig in their heels and they grab for every bumper sticker they can remember, what they picked up on. I can Google it verbatim and it's like, oh, you just saw that last night. But a lot of it is rooted, obviously just theory. Is the same reason why we have had to fight so hard to make people understand that child sexual assault isn't perpetrated by, some, dirty old guy in a bush. 90% of kids that are victimized by sexual assault are victimized by somebody that they love and that they trust. But it is much easier for all of us, the collective culture, to believe that it is somebody in a bush, because we can handle that, we can process that. Because if it's not, then we are responsible. Then we are then called in to confront and address. It is much easier when you have born and raised Republican or living in a demographic where that might be the social norm. It's easy. It is much easy, but it's also beneficial because they are very afraid when they hear statistics like by 2050, white people will be in the minority. They're like, oh my God, like that strikes fear in them. They don't really know how to process that.
Wait.
White centering is like a very strong thing. They don't understand it's, anything different than that. And not
why don't they want to be minorities though? Do minorities get treated badly in this country?
Something like that. I don't know.
I wanna bring back Marcus, our live feed reporter, is on at WD Kelly School at 28th and Osage, and he has a volunteer who has his story.
Hey guys, I'm here at WD Kelly out in North, out here at 28th and Oscar. Would you mind telling people your name?
Hi, I'm Donnie Student. I'm one of the committee teachers for 32-3.
Perfect. You said you've also been here all day?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience today?
Well, early this morning, it was a rush. We had a lot of people that actually were all the way around the corner. When we first opened up this morning, it was a pretty good crowd. And got them in, and they got out. So it was pretty good. And this thing's been kind of slow, off and on.
Okay.
We get voters that come in sporadically. So,
a lot of what kind of demographic you guys have here? A lot of older people, younger people who kind of came out today.
It's been a lot of young people.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, so that was my main focus, was to get the young people to come out. And the ones that I did reach out to, they showed up. And a lot of them were males, so that was a plus.
Okay, that's great to hear. Did you, what was the energy like out here?
It was good for a while, but then there was like a minor incident that was done, it got kind of a little aggressive. There was someone that were out here, I don't know who they were from, but they said that it was another group.
Some type of organization or some type of
voter protectors or something.
Voter protectors, they said? Okay.
And one of the guys, he's not supposed to be in the inside. He was supposed to be on the outside. He was inside questioning people that were in line to vote. Some that actually, I believe, were in their ballots because they didn't want to know them, and they wanted to do the sign-in vote out. He basically was trying when they couldn't do it. And by the time we got wind of it, some of them had got turned away.
Okay.
He was turning away like he actually was somebody that worked in the inside.
So he was claiming to be part of the volunteer group, but was basically harassing these people who were either
not physically, but he was basically persuading them to tell us that they couldn't fill out ballots or something.
Okay.
To that extent. And then afterwards, they got a little. My judge of elections told him what someone downtown told him, and the person was on the phone, and then we got the ward leader and everything. and explained it. But actually, the cops were called,
Okay.
and when cops showed up, the guy left.
Okay.
But they took a police report. So
Would he did he seem like he was somebody who was from the neighborhood, or did he seem like, or was it not really something you could tell?
actually, he had two the slips for the poll watchers.
Mm-hmm.
They were different colors, but they were from two different divisions.
Okay.
So he pulled them out, but
So if he was
but they
like,
said that he can be here. To
mm,
my understanding, the law supposed to have a change, and if they put him here, he can be here. But if we have poll watchers, folks, we're not allowed in the inside.
okay,
We have to stay outside. So why are you inside talking, asking questions to voters that are coming in?
right.
That's not your job.
I got
You
you.
just point them in,
Mm-hmm.
tell them where they have to go, what table, division, try to help them out, ask them their address, whatever. So you can point them in the right direction. But he got very hostile. Then he was really upset.
Yeah.
And my partner, our committee partner, was trying to explain to him, you cannot do that. You have to, at least you got to go outside. So they had, back and forth. It's excited.
Yeah.
The call. We just waited for the police. So.
I got you.
And then when they came, the guy left.
So
before they even walked up, he left.
So clearly, it seems like.
He pulled out a phone and said he was an attorney.
Okay.
That was the weirdest thing ever. So.
I see. This man seems like he was all over the place.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, that doesn't. I'm glad that was resolved without too much issue. Was he alone? Was he with anybody else that you could tell?
He was with the other people that were out here.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out, I don't think so, but I think somebody that knew him was called, and the guy came out and he told him to leave.
Did he have like the same credentials that the other volunteers
I
had?
didn't see any credentials. All I saw was the yellow tag on.
Got you. It at least looked like he was like
Yeah.
supposed to be there for volunteering. Okay. All right.
I mean, everything was fine until that incident happened.
I got you. And then other than that, everybody's been kind of
Yeah, it's been great.
awesome.
It's been great.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. Good luck. You guys are out here till like 8, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good luck with the rest of tonight, okay?
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Marcus. Really appreciate your coverage.
No problem. I'll head to the next location. Unless you want me to try to catch somebody out here.
Yeah, go ahead and head down to Temple. See if there's any late voters at Leah Chorus. Leah Chorus usually has a few people lined up after 8 p.m. And it's 8 till 8 right now. Polls will be closing in 8 minutes or so here in Philadelphia. Of course, if you are in line to vote before 8 p.m., you do have to be allowed to vote. And so we'll see what's going on at the Leah Chorus. Yeah, Joe did ask in the chat here, isn't it crazy that they're already calling states? And yeah, I think that's a pretty crazy thing. Interesting. We have a guy with who commented on our Facebook post. Hi, and pretty toxic group of people here. His Facebook banner image is an MP5 and a 9mm, both with silencers on them and tacticaled out with flashlights.
But we're the ones that
we're toxic.
Okay.
Sorry. Sorry, just wanna, it's cool.
Well, Kimberly was telling us some facts about child sexual assault, so that's very toxic.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Should be scared.
Bless his heart. Bless his so hard.
Life is very difficult when you find out what's really going on, I guess. Yeah. So toxic end to a toxic presidency. Let's hope. I guess.
If you have wine, that could be toxic.
Yeah.
Technically speaking.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Not organic.
So, organically toxic. Yeah, I do love folks who. I mean, I'm not going to talk bad about folks who really like to eat organic and whatever, but organic can be toxic. There are organic toxins.
I was just trying to stand in solidarity with his toxic perspective.
Yeah. I should probably go get something to drink myself. Cheryl, yeah. I could use a libation. I'm just drinking tea so far, and
I did, however, find Rod and Pattison. Just found this, and it is downright delightful.
That's a wine?
Yeah, well, it's made in California. Broad and Pattison, a common love on common ground, and proceeds are donated and that kind of thing. Just spotted this in a South Jersey store. I was like, oh, look at that. I wasn't.
It's a California wine with a Philadelphia address sold in South Jersey.
That's not unusual. They're like importing the wine itself, but yeah, Broad and Pattison Chardonnay, on point, y'all. Well done.
Rich, where was that cheesesteak place? Was that in Paris? Oh, in London. There's an incredible Philly cheesesteak place. It's called.
Is that incredible in air quotes, or it was decent?
It was actually incredible.
It's actually good.
Oh.
And he couldn't get Amoroso rolls, so he made his own. Like he found a bakery that would make rolls that are very similar to the Philly rolls, and he got a butcher to like cut the steak just right, and made his own cheese whiz.
Nice.
He did the work. He did the work.
We're everywhere. We're just everywhere across the globe, spreading the love, the brotherly and sisterly love.
Fascinating look there in North Carolina from Jack Severe.
So yeah. Joe, feel free to join us live on video if you want. Yeah, we're it's 7:56. 7:57. Polls close in 3 minutes. Just change time. So polls in Philadelphia and in Pennsylvania in general close in 3 minutes. Interesting. So a little aside, a little humor for our watch party here. I was invited to a Facebook group that is polls about things that are not important. And one of the polls today was, what should we do about daylight savings time? I'm voting, my vote has always been, we should pick a time that's 30 minutes between daylight savings and standard time and just stick with it. I don't know how that would affect elections, but I feel like having elections right after daylight savings time starts.
We're rooting for him to win.
Joe, introduce yourself and your pronouns and who you are and what you do. I'll talk a little bit about your political past in a second.
All right. Hi, I'm Joe Cox. Go by he, dude. I'm a bike messenger. I ran for city council last year. I do the nonprofit PMA bike ride where I go around to different neighborhoods all around Philadelphia, just giving out pizza and spreading love.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us. I did want I as you noticed, like my whole entire guest list is very varied in background and political belief and what we all do. I thought it would be interesting to have a person who ran in a political election on and talk about election results from that perspective. You were just mentioning in chat you think it's crazy that they're calling states this early as well.
Yeah, I mean the fact that people are still haven't finished voting, people are still in line. so many mail-in ballots are left to go. I mean, more people voted this time than in 2016. So there's so many votes that need to be counted. And you're looking at the screen and it says 3%. They're judging it off 3%. That seems just pretty crazy to me.
Well, I mean, I've
unusual
seen
for the-
0%.
Does anybody know?
Yeah,
I'm
I saw
sorry?
that too.
Does anybody know, is this unusual for the Associated Press? Like NPR will not announce any kind of a state until the Associated Press announces it first. Is this typical? I've not followed the Associated Press like specifically in past elections. Is this unusual for them?
To my knowledge, it's a little unusual. 2016, they definitely held out the election results till later in the evening. I remember not really seeing the first election results until about 10 p.m.
Yeah. I feel like it usually happens much later, and also this year is also way different than normal as well. I mean, the fact that the majority of the votes are probably at least in a lot of areas, Philadelphia, which is going to be a big factor, apparently, which they keep saying. A lot of the votes, majority, are mail-in ballots. So it's a lot different than this year.
Now, to my understanding, they have been counting mail-in ballots since polls opened this morning. Is that correct? Yeah.
I think so. I'm not positive. I'm pretty sure that they couldn't start counting them till the day of, so it would make sense that they already started that.
Yeah. So we should see some results in about 10 minutes from the actual votes PA, the